literally from zero, literally from the scratch, Prabhupada starts to spread Krishna consciousness. And then you see, like, all kinds of wonderful things started to happen. By 67, the Prabhupada went to America, 65, practically the end of 65, September. 66 was a lot of struggle. Then he establishes ISKCON, which we are celebrating the 50 years of ISKCON in 1966, July. And from then onwards, you can just see what an amazing thing started to happen. In just 10 years' time, this movement spread not only through America, all over the world. And all kinds of amazing things started to happen. All kinds of amazing things started to happen to promote this movement. One such happening was just an accidental happening. Probably you all remember from Shamsundar Prabhu's description, the involvement of the Beatles, especially George Harrison. Shamsundar Prabhu did not elaborate because there was not enough time. There were so many speakers. I mean, I'll give you the background how it actually happened. They went to London. From America, they wanted to take the movement out of America. Now, which is the most important place and the best place to go to? London. So they decided to go to London, but they didn't have any money to fly straight to London. There were cheap flights available that used to go to Luxembourg, Icelandic Airlines. And so they went to Luxembourg, and they thought that they would come to Amsterdam and cross the Channel, come to England. But when they came there, they found that in order to enter into UK, if you don't have a return ticket, then you have to show a certain amount of money. Now, they didn't have the money for all 6 of them to go together. Somehow they got all the money together, which was just enough for one couple to go and enter into UK. So one couple went to UK and wired the money back to Amsterdam for the second couple to go. Then again wired it back for the third couple to go. So this is how they entered into UK. They didn't know anybody. They didn't have any money. They didn't know where to stay. Fortunately, some Indian family allowed them to stay in their house. That was also not a very comfortable situation. And they wanted to preach, but who is going to listen to them? It is not the youth of America who are just waiting to receive something new, open to accept whatever is there, which is new and novel. But even the Indian family that they were living with, they were even not interested to listen to them. But then one day Shamsundar Prabhu bumped into one of his acquaintances, Rock Scully, who was the manager of a famous music group called the Grateful Dead. And so he asked why Rock Scully was there, and Rock Scully told him that he was there to meet the Beatles. Okay, I missed one point here. I'm also trying to rush in a way. So they were trying to preach, but they were completely disheartened that no one was listening, no one was interested. Even the youth of London was different from the youth of America at that time. So one day they saw a poster of the Beatles dressed in Indian clothes, dhoti and pajama. Not dhoti, I'm sorry, kurta and pajama. So, and then it occurred to them that the Beatles are leaning towards Indian culture. They already were in India, learning sitar from Ravi Shankar and yoga from Maheshwari. So they thought that the Beatles will probably be a possible candidate to listen to them. But to approach the Beatles, to have an interview with the Beatles was practically next to impossible, because they were the most prominent people, the most important people of the world at that time. So they tried, but they could not succeed. Then he came across the Rock Scully. And when he got to know that Rock Scully came to meet the Beatles to sign a contract, so then he asked whether he could introduce them to the Beatles. And Rock Scully said, yes, sure. And then on a particular day, and Rock Scully is not there. And he tried to go in, but the gatekeeper won't let him go, because he didn't have an appointment. And that day, it so happened that a lot of people, Beatles were going to give some interview or something like that. Like many people were invited to the studio. But he was not one of the invited guests, so he wouldn't let him in. So when he was reasoning with the gatekeeper, there comes a white Rolls Royce. Stops there. And John Lennon's Japanese wife, Yoko Ono, steps out of the car. And she sees Shamsundar Prabhu dressed in dhoti and kurta. And she tells him, you must be a friend of John. And Shamsundar Prabhu says, yes. So she actually takes him in. And Shamsundar Prabhu, you have heard at that day, there were about 100 people there sitting in that area. George Harrison comes in. He walks straight to everyone else and tells him, where you guys been all this while? I saw you in San Francisco chanting and dancing, and since then I've been wanting to meet you. George Harrison invites him to his house, and they meet, they speak to him about Krishna consciousness, and he became so inspired that he wanted to meet Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada flies in. Prabhupada stays in John Lennon's house. Then they cut an album. They were My Sweet Lord. And then every day that you listen, Govindam Adipurusham, and that was also recorded in Apple Studio, and George Harrison played the guitar. And this My Sweet Lord was the top of the pops, top 10, for many, many years, for a long, long time. And that caused a revolution in the youth of the world. So this is how Krishna made all kinds of arrangements to help Srila Prabhupada. And this is what it actually means by being empowered by the Lord. When someone serves the Lord, then He empowers him. Like for example, if you have a servant, and if the servant sincerely wants to do something for you, won't you give him all the support? So what to speak of the Supreme Personality of Godhead when He sees that His servant is trying to do something for Him, for His sake. He makes all the arrangements. And that is what actually happened with Srila Prabhupada. Anyway, so today, as it has been announced by Vijay Gopikesh Prabhu, that I'm launching one book that I recently wrote. It's called The Ocean of Mercy. Ocean of Mercy, this book is about Srila Prabhupada. And who is the Ocean of Mercy? His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhakti-Vedanta Swami. And fortunately, I had been the recipient of that mercy to a great extent. And the good fortune of meeting Srila Prabhupada. And I had this opportunity at a time when Srila Prabhupada had about 10,000 followers, more than 6,000 initiated disciples. And when devotees were dying to have a moment's association of Srila Prabhupada, and it was so rare to even come close to him, I had the good fortune of being with Srila Prabhupada practically 24 hours a day. Anyway, so, and I had the good fortune of being with him until Srila Prabhupada left the planet. And Prabhupada left in 1977, November. In 1979, there was a palace opening in New Vrindavan. Prabhupada's palace was built, Prabhupada's palace of gold. How many of you have seen the palace of gold in New Vrindavan? Please raise your hand. Okay, please make it a point to go and see it. It's a beautiful community with a beautiful... It's a palace of gold that was built for Srila Prabhupada by the devotees. And the opening of that palace didn't happen when Prabhupada was present on the planet. It took place in the summer of 79. And I went to take part in that ceremony. And then after that I came to New York, and